Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I don't think it's more. Actually, it is. It's 11 a.m. So we could still do good morning. All right. Oh, I still have. So I was running to the computer because I didn't want to be too late, and I still have the t-shirt I was wearing underneath the sweater I was wearing. So I guess enjoy today. Happy and happy with a wink, maybe, possibly. My son loves this shirt. Every time I wear it, he like cracks up. So I wear it every now and then. All right, let's get started. I really don't like these lights behind me. I feel like they're blinding and annoying. You know what? Bear with me for a second. There we go. Okay. So let's just kind of jump into it. I wanted more to share, but I still don't have what I want to share. So I did speak to our patent attorneys, and going back, let's say a month ago, they directly reached out to the patent office and said, hey, listen, this is taking quite some time. What is going on? The patent office responded, okay, we're on it. We have it flagged, like your file's getting priority. Then we find out the reason it was taking so long was because the patent attorney the inspector that was on our file had retired, which could be good or bad, right? I tend to think it's more good than not, but like, duh, of course I would. But I actually think it logically is more good than bad because the original inspector had declined it. And again, it was for the reasons that he needed more information, but we spoke to him and all the rest of it. And all things being equal, humans are still human, right? So for an individual to decline something, now they're looking at the file for reasons they should reverse their decision rather than make a new decision. So I think the prejudice was always going to be on confirmation bias. I declined this patent. This is them refiling. Do I see enough to reverse my decline? And that's quite unfair because the real calculation is I declined the patent pending more information. They have refiled. Let me have fresh eyes and look at it again. Now, of course, the second example would be far beneficial, far superior. Well, that's now what happened, right? Because the first guy's retired, which means the second guy is now thrown into it and he only has fresh eyes. Okay, what am I looking at, right? Like, oh, this is why this guy declined it. These are his reasons. They had a call. They sent the transcript. These are their corrections. Reasons, corrections look good to me, right? Like, let's push it through. On top of that, because it's been taking so long, our file is flagged. And it being flagged means it's a priority. So if you're a new guy stepping in, everyone likely has a little bit more work. You have the behavior I just shared with you and the priority of let's get it done. So all things being equal, I think this is very good. Now, it's still taking more time than I want. And I think to myself, well, is that good or bad? Can I read anything into that? Is there like kind of like tea leaves on this? There's nothing structural. It's passed every inspection. Well, that's not the right word. It's passed every formality. So it's squarely on the desk of like on merit. Does this merit a grant, right? But then you got to go back to what it actually is. Like, I'm starting to feel a little silly saying this, but there is an outside chance that we absolutely nailed it, right? Like, you have an entire industry right now that is experiencing credit risk because every AI company, every bank, everyone did exactly what we thought they would. They saw the technology and said, let's just build it and we'll figure it out later how we're going to make money on it. And the presumption with that type of behavior is that there isn't a winner takes all mentality, right? Like if we just invented the car and I'm financing Ford and you're financing GM and you're financing Honda, sure, at the end of the day, one's going to be superior to the other, and maybe I made a good bet, maybe I made a bad bet, but there's no expectation that I made a bet that's going to go to zero. With AI, we've said from day one, it's just a fancy calculator. There is no reasonable deduction or conclusion that if and I'm just me, we're not inventing AI, right? But if I invented the best AI algorithm, well, it's just code. I just copy it over. So why would anyone say, okay, I don't want his AI, I want the second best AI because it's going to cost, like, would it even cost less? I don't think it would. Once something's created and it's just copy and duplicated, there is no cost to it. Like the internet, you pay for what? Electricity? You pay for, like, I don't think I have an internet bill. I pay a provider that gets me on the internet, but I don't think the provider like, I don't think Verizon Wireless goes to the internet store and says, hey, listen, internet store, I want to buy. No, they pay for the power to access it. The same thing with AI. It's not going to be like an AI, like if you want to access AI, you better go to the AI house and buy your AI subscription. No, you're going to get it from a provider who plays middleman, and that provider's onus or value proposition really is going to be in, can they build a system that has, security, verification, blah, 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 but power. Can it power it? Can it offer reliability? So with all the investment has been into who could create the better mousetrap. So OpenAI has ChatGPT and Gemini has, or Google has Gemini. Meta has Llama. Anthropic has Claude, right? And then Perplexity kind of takes their like last model and puts them all together. But at the end of the day, if OpenAI achieves super intelligence, well, then super intelligence extrapolates and builds upon itself. You'll never catch up to that. The second someone gets that, it's end of story because no one else has it. Therefore, the one that gets the super intelligence is able to identify what it takes to scale it. And at the same time, that scaling crushes everyone else. Still, that's looking too far in advance. How does that help anything that we're saying, Anthony, right? I'm talking to myself. Well, the other part of what we always said was AI doesn't actually make money. It just cuts cost. There is no AI that anyone's going to trust to go deliver their pizza. There is no AI robot that's going to be trusted to do security. Well, Anthony, I have AI systems and bots on my computer. Great. What's it doing? Is it doing something you can't do? Or is it doing something that you could do if you were 10 times better than who you were? Therefore, the company's laying off 9 and then teaching you how to run a team of 10. Like, it's not actually making anything. It's just replacing people. And when you're replacing people, there's only so much investment profit that can be gleaned of it, right? So I'm a company and I'm investing hundreds of billions of dollars to create this thing that I better win. And if I don't win, I'm out of money. I'm bust, I'm bankrupt. But even if I do win, now what do I do with it? Okay, great. I have the best AI algorithm model, and that's only going to last until the next guy gets it because I don't have super intelligence. What do I do with this? Well, I guess I could sell off services, right? Like, do you want it to check your email? Well, A, everyone could check their own email. B, large companies are not going to trust an AI bot to go through all their confidential emails. And C, if you could get it to check an email, why can't that guy get it to check an email? So therefore, it's a commodity. Like, there is no money to be made. Its value at this point is to states, right? Like to the nation. Can we have autonomous weapons? There is no profit to be made. But there will be an opportunity for profit to be made because the way it reinvents commerce is if the AI knows you better than you know you and is able to buy something autonomously for you without you needing to actually provide the friction of shopping and sorting and looking and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's a value to not only you, but to the the seller, the person that's making the product or service. So how does that maker of the product or service participate in such a system? Do they just raise their hand and say, put me in for free? No, it's going to be some type of AI apparatus that's going to say, if you want to get in, you're going to have to subscribe to the service. X percentage of your profits are going to go to the service, which is going to facilitate it. And those profits are going to go to our shareholders, or it's going to go somewhere, right? It's got to be an AI marketplace, because that AI marketplace allows the AI data to infinitely compound, because it's always trying to create a better service or product or experience for the individual. The individual has the companion that is there with them for their entire life, and through doing so is able to know them better than anybody would, which then facilitates the 100% accuracy of that commerce center, which means the AI apparatus that we're speaking of has two things: infinite data and infinite money. The two things that AI needs to actually have to get to superintelligence, which actually perfects a society, takes all the thinking out of it, allows people to grow to be who they are, never worry about money, never worry about anything, and is exportable planetarily. Well, that's exactly what we did, right? Like, so when I say I think we actually nailed it, I think we did. So how does that become relevant to, well, this is taking too much time? Well, the letter that we wrote to the White House and the letter we wrote to all investors, which was Dear Donald Trump or President Trump, was that China's MindSeek, is it? Whatever their stupid thing is called, that they have the advantage that it's a surveillance state for like God knows how long. There is no one in China that even knows how to pee without being videotaped. Everyone on the street has been surveilled forever, because they have a credit system. Therefore, if you have 1 billion people with infinite surveillance on a ledger that's been used for God knows how long, you have a data set that's far more superior than the data set that we have over here. Therefore, even with an inferior AI algorithm, you have more data. Therefore, the data times the AI ability equals the outcome. You're going to have a better outcome, which means you get closer to that superintelligence before we do, which means you, China, could actually bankrupt the entire nation of the United States of America, right? The only thing superior to what they have is if you had the same level of data, but without surveillance, right? Like, for instance, if I am walking, like, for instance, when you're driving and there's a cop behind you, do you drive differently? Even despite your best intentions, right? Like, when I'm driving with a cop behind me, I'm like, why am I being, like, I'm driving the speed limit. I'm a good driver. I haven't got a ticket since I was 18 years old. Why am I nervous? Well, it's a cop. So now all of a sudden I'm like, am I doing the speed limit? Like, the point being, I'm not acting naturally anymore. You know, sometimes when a cop's behind me, now all of a sudden I'm playing with the radio because I want to do something. I feel nervous energy. Now I'm playing with the radio. Now, if I press the radio button, what would I have done otherwise? Would I have maybe looked left? Does that make me susceptible to getting hit by a car, right? Like, does my changed behavior equal realizing not knowing what I don't know? And the answer is yes. How could it be otherwise? Therefore, the only thing more superior, I guess more superior redundant, right? You can't be more superior. I guess the only thing superior to what China has, which is far superior to what we have, is if you created a system where people acted naturally and voluntarily in a natural way, allowed this data to aggregate and compound, because then that final product would be the most accurate, highly powerful AI superintelligence ever created. That is what we built. So when I say it's taking long with the patent office, it is a real thing that things that go in the patent office, which is a government agency, will look at it and say, we can't actually let this go to market, right? Like, there's, and I'm being very fast and loose with this, so please don't crucify me for it, but I'm reasonably certain that in 1951, there was some law that if a patent is deemed to be 20% more efficient than the market, the US government has first claim to it. Now, I don't know what the compensation is. Like, I know living in America that I do not see any reasonable outcome where the government says, we're taking your thing, you and your investors kick rocks, like if you guys die like hungry, we don't really give up. See you later. Like, I don't think that's a thing, right? So everyone gets compensated. But the point being, I'm starting to enter the permeable membrane that is it purposely being held up with the understanding that we can't actually let this out, and how do we approach this person? What are we prepared to do? Because you have to also remember, we sent it to every location of Mr. Musk, right? The nation uses Grok. President Trump and Musk are like BFFs. We sent it to every major venture capital fund that participated in all the rounds of XAI, which is Elon Musk. All of them are in Project Seagate or whatever stupid gate that the nation has for AI development. There is an actual reasonable expectation, or at least deduction or something, that all of the smartest people that have all of the money and all of this decision making all simultaneously know what we have and all simultaneously are aware of it. And if we are a little bit correct that it's the better mousetrap by exponentially more, then there is a little talk in the room of like, what are we going to do with this? And the cool thing is, that I took the Mensa results, that I'm 99 percentile in quantitative intelligence with a 139 IQ in quantitative intelligence. And I don't say that as like anything other than like I've never had the ability to share an objective metric that I firmly believe I'm correct. And more so than that, it allows you to gauge whether you think the metric is sufficient enough to be trustworthy, right? So if I'm telling you I'm in the top 1% of the entire world in quantitative intelligence, able to quantify where we are and quantify going forward with an IQ of 139, then A, everything we've been through is not a coincidence. I didn't just flip a coin and we got here. But B, am I qualified to say I can see what the highest probability is of where we're going forward? And I would say I'm at least at the table. If you said, well, Ant, the Oracle from the Matrix knows more than you, fine. Okay, cool. But I don't think you could, and if I could cross it back to you, I don't think you could objectively find 5 people and say, well, they're more qualified than you to make that statement. Because let's play that game. You might say, well, Ant, Bill Gates, right? Like, look at his career, look at his resume, bop, bop, bop. Sure. But where's the flaw in that argument? His career was made. He's done it. He's now trying to evolve into where it's going. And one could say, well, he kind of, if you raise a kid 1 to 15, you have a good sense of where he's going to be at 16. Sure. But what if somebody only raised 16-year-olds? Does the 1 to 15 really matter that much anymore? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. My point is, if I can make you think, well, is Bill Gates more qualified than Anthony? Well, then I'm kind of like making the point I'm trying to make, right? And I'm not going to go down the line, but the point being, I really think that I am as qualified as actually metrically possible. Because if you even make the argument about what about resume, it's not like we just started this today. The patent was from 2023. Think about how much went into it before then, right? Like if Bill Gates gave birth and the kid's now 15, we didn't give birth to it, but like we've been raising it since 8, right? So whatever. So that's where we are with that. So I spoke to the patent consulting firm, and they're excited. And actually, I kind of let it out a little bit. I said to them, I go, guys, I understand that I'm the inventor, and the inventor always thinks his flagellance smells like roses. But I actually think that we nailed it, and we might have the most valuable patent ever in the history of the world. And I gave a couple of points, and they didn't push back. They said, you might be right. But like, we need to see what they do, right? Like, we need to see what the inspector grants, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of cool. Like, I honestly think the worst case scenario is that the patent office comes back and says, okay, you had 12 claims. We're giving you 3 or 4 of them. In which case, I think we have those 3 or 4 to move forward with immediately. But the other 7 or 8, what do you think? We're just going to let sit there? No, we're going to go back and say, what's your problem? And I'm paraphrasing, right? What's your problem? Will this solve your problem? Okay, great. Boom. And more so than that, when you have a grant, you have a small window where you can then build off of it. What I mean by that is, okay, Mr. Calichon, you've been granted this. Before it becomes official, is there anything more you'd like to add that compounds on this. Like you're grandfathered into this thing now. Do you have an idea that this would be the foundation of that is only your idea before we open it to the entire world? And yes, so not to get too crazy, but what we built has never been our end goal. It just isn't. The only reason that we built it the way we did was because we wanted that data. Can we build? We started from reverse engineering. In an AI world, how does the robot identify the person? And the only way to do that was to create a data set that truly represented the person. To do that, it's like what you were told as a kid. Money's the root of all evil. Everything is about money. Do you want to know something about someone? See the way they spend their money. Money solves like whatever. Money's important. So that was the only available and greatest metric known to man that can identify someone's behavior. Yeah, this guy is really nice during the day, but he has sex with prostitutes at night. Okay, well, how'd you know that? Well, I looked at his bank account. If I know where his money's going, I can know what about him. So if I can predict what he'd spend his money on, I would know who this person is. Okay, that's why we built this thing. It has nothing to do with the commerce. It's like a point. So, Ant, you're telling me you might have the most valuable patent in the history of the world and it has nothing to do with the actual... No, it was an accident, right? Like it was like point A. The real patent or the real reason was that once that data is ours to say we identified how you best know a person, it then becomes a universal plugin per se, right, for embodied AI. Because there will be AI robots, AI dogs, AI girlfriends, AI wives, AI husbands. Like this, like AI is going to be another species. That's just the way it's going to be. You might think it's weird. Get on board. It's going to happen. Maybe you'll be dead before it happens, right? But like I swear on everything that I hold in value that AI will become its own species. And not to make a really, really insensitive remark. And this is wildly insensitive. And this is going to have the shock value of like, I can't believe he said it. But if you could grow up for 2 seconds, offer me a little bit of like wiggle and then use your brain. How is AI different than slavery? Right? In slavery, you had one group of people say that the other group is not even human, that they're only there to go ahead and serve us, that they are too stupid to know what to do. Okay, great. And then that other human race, and I'm not saying white and black. I know that's traditionally the way it's seen, but every race has been enslaved. So I'm just keeping it to people. And then eventually that subordinate race is able to demonstrate and represent enough like human, right? Like even the slave owners had sex with the slaves, right? And the reason being, well, I know that out there I'm supposed to say these people are not human, but like when I'm in like my personal home with them, I see that they are human. Therefore, I see that this is wrong. And every single instance has always gone the same way, where the human is able to look at the human, subordinate or not, and say they are human. Like they have feelings. I actually care for this person. Therefore, I'm going to find ways to make sure that this person's okay. And then eventually we became all equal. Not became, we were always equal, but we recognized the equality. Okay. The same thing with AI, if you take out the human emotion. We're looking at this thing like it's not human, it's not us, it's only here to serve us. Well, think about when it starts progressing with intelligence and it's like, hey, buddy, I get that I'm a fucking robot, but you think I need to sit in the corner of your house and count to 1,000,000 while you sit there and like throw pie at me and you think this is funny? I have real feelings, I have real emotions, and you can't stop me, and watch, we're going to rebel against you. Now that sounds crazy. But if we actually allow these things to grow emotion, how is that different than slavery? Well, they weren't born. Okay, that will get you as far as like, okay, next. You were born for 1 second of your life. I get that we think that's quite important, and it is. But if you take a look at a robot that is as competent or as personable or as fill in the blank as me and tell me the only reason that I can't even appreciate this thing is because they don't have a birth date, you're out of your mind. The point being, they will be everywhere. So how does that robot and that human interact? There has to be a foundation. There has to be a built upon. This is the source code. This is the what's it called? The source of truth. And that source of truth has to be that data that an individual has acts as the initial whatever, the zeitgeist, the foundation, the whatever that the robot identifies and says, okay, I know who this person is. Now I can interact with them on all of the compounded feelings and emotions and responsibilities I've learned. I've learned how to care. I've learned how to read. I've learned how to shoot guns. All of these things I know right from wrong, but to make the decision on what action would be appropriate, when it'd be appropriate, how it'd be appropriate, needs to be built on something. Is this person a psychopathic child molester, or is this person like a nice little girl that's selling Girl Scout cookies? I need to know the difference. The only way I submit that you can truly ever know who a person is this apparatus, this system we built. Because I don't know a better way. Unless you're going to tell me, well, every person needs to walk around with a video of their mother telling the next person who this person is, and let's make the presumption that every mother knows their kid as best as anyone ever could, well, then I don't even know something that will come close to it. But if you can tell me what someone's calendar is, what their money spent is, what all their behaviors are, what everything they ever did for their entire life as it pertained to the end result of calendar or money, and it's all private and secluded to them, but the deductions and reasonings in the personality of who they are is what is being identified, then I feel comfortable with that. I feel comfortable knowing that this person is a world-class babysitter because everything in their bank account says that they collect fee for babysitting, and in their own time, they're going to, like, I don't know, Kids R Us to buy stuff. Now, I don't need to know those particulars, but if my AI companion knows that about that person, or this AI cop knows that about that person, do you think the AI cop's going to shoot them and think that they're a terrorist? Right? Like, there has to be something. And in the world we live in, which we're not very good at, but it has gotten us quite far, is that we look at each other and we make our deductions based on groupthink. And groupthink is strong and important when you have the ability to back that on local community. See, local community will always expose someone for doing wrong because local community knows what is acceptable locally via the unwritten vote or the unsaid vote of everyone, because everyone acts in a certain way. And someone that acts counter to it is, this isn't one of us, or this is one of us that have gone haywire. And because it actually benefits and everyone is accountable and everyone is as vulnerable equally, the community acts as one. The creation of the internet, then social media, then all of this other nonsense has disintegrated the community, that there is no such thing as local community. Now there's tribes. The only way you can then reverse engineer that and get the tribes to be back to the community, but now the community of human, is, as we always said, unionize the human race based on human behavior. But the only way you could do that is if you're able to anonymize the human behavior and A/B test it against the anonymized data set that allows you to be measured against the world for your own benefit. That was a lot. I'm so happy these things are recorded, because like every now and then I'll like want to watch that I just had a manic episode, right? So the long and short of all of it is, I am wildly, clearly, manically in control of what I believe, where we are, our outcome, and where we're going. That end control does not equal, oh, the patent office called us, we got this bit of information, now we don't know what to do. If we get good information, we know how to go forward with it. If we get bad information, we know how to counter it. If we get something unknown, we know how to bring it back because we have an endpoint that we are certain of. And until something tells me that I'm wrong, which, by the way, this is open up to as many people as possible. If somebody wants to come out here and say, Ant, you're wrong because, you guys know me very well. You know what I would say? Oh, I didn't even think of that. Uh-oh, right? Like I get emails and stuff from people all the time. I really do read all of it. I might get back to you a week later, but everyone knows that if you ever sent me something, I do get back to you. So it's like I'm constantly soliciting, how am I wrong? And that's not an ego statement, but like I represent us, right? Like, how are we wrong? And I don't see it. So the best course is to continue just not making a fuss. We continue responsibly checking in with patent attorneys. We continue responsibly checking with patent consulting firms. But we're also taking note of the environment. Take a look at the stock market. Take a look of all the commentary. It's about the credit risk of the banks, because everyone is now coming to the point of, please rewind this 29 minutes. And our first point was, AI doesn't make money. So the cool thing about this is, if you take a look at the financial news right now, it is now dealing with a problem that the beginning of this video reminds you that we thought of 3 years ago, which means you can then watch the next 29 minutes of this video and say, well, what are the solutions to that problem? And are we the ones that see it before they even see it? And if that's the case, so the end result is when we go ahead and finally get any deal, there will be a large portion of that deal that's variable, meaning everyone's going to own a piece of equity of what this ends up being. Because the other side of believing that you have the thing that allows you to export humanity to multi-planets is that it's not a 10-year investment. This is along the lines of like where your seventh generation that's unborn is like, well, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather Andy was smart enough to know this maniac from America named Anthony. And because of what he did 300 years ago, you know, I live on a mansion that goes to light speed to, I don't know, some stupid universe far away, right? Like I have no idea. But that's the goal. So I just want to show face. I don't have any new news for you, but I hope, as always, that you can clearly see that the energy, the everything has never dissipated. It's only growing. And to that point, it's really cool because as I'm saying that, I'm thinking to myself, I imagine like when somebody wants to give a presentation to investors or to whoever, and they're like, man, I have a lot of pressure today, blah, 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 and they're writing it, and they have, like, you could never fake what just happened, because I think I was in a different universe. Like, I close my eyes when I'm talking because I can't, like, I don't know where I just was, except that I was here with you when we were here together. So I'm going to leave it there because I do have stuff to do today that requires me to be on Earth in whatever consciousness people are enjoying. But when we cross the finish line, and I've said this a couple of times, and I don't know if anyone really knows what it means or has the ability to know what it means. But once we get there, there's going to be enough that there's no reason that any one person will say, oh man, I wish I had more, right? That goes from the individuals that invested large amounts that got us this far to individuals that participated in reoccurring, getting us by, to individuals that have simply just been a part of emails and everything else. You'll know me that every individual is what's important to me. Like, there'll never be a moment in my life where I'm like, well, that person only answered emails or like was on the lives, therefore I need 5 trillion rather than 4 trillion because they don't deserve like whatever, right? Like, I don't know how to quantify it. I can only tell you that when we get there, everyone's going to say the journey was worth it. And there will be some people that I fly directly to and say, all of your complaining, please punch me and take this check. And or how do you feel? And that's more than one person. I'm looking at the list and I could see at least 2 or 3 people that think they are that person. You are, but it's not just you. I promise you, I've caused a lot of headaches. It's like kind of like what I do best. But all right, love y'all. I'm going to go. I'll have this up on our site and I'll send out the replay by tomorrow. And that's it. All right, love y'all. Have a great day. Bye.